Hello, it is so great to connect with you. What I wanted to ask you today is, are you a multitasker? Do you pride yourself on being a multitasker that can have a lot of things happening all at once and still be in control? Well, I'm here to challenge that thought process today. You see, I grew up thinking that multitasking was the way to go, that successful people, successful women multitasked. They were able to do lots of things all at once, and that it was something that I suppose was an endemic right of women. That as a mum, as a wife, as a provider, as a worker, we were expected to multitask. But when I did that, I found that I went into overwhelm, exhaustion, stress, couldn't think straight, and wondered what was going on and why I was failing at this and why I was making so many more mistakes. And so I looked into some research, and I researched, being a scientist, looked into what is it, how does the brain work, and how can we improve on this process of multitasking? Because if you've ever heard the phrase, women can multitask, men can't, it was almost worn as pride. And I know growing up, looking at my mum, watching her seemingly multitask, it's sort of something that I strove for. But now looking at the science, like I said, I went in to look at the science and found that research is showing that our conscious brains simply cannot multitask. And multitasking actually decreases productivity. It decreases your efficiency. It decreases your short-term memory. It impacts on the short-term memory. It decreases your performance. But it also increases your stress, increases overwhelm, and people that multitask are more likely to make mistakes. And why is this? Because our brains simply aren't wired to multitask. When we think about the brain and the nerves in the brain, it's a connection. So think of all of these little wires that need to connect together inside the brain to create the nerve impulse. Now, that nerve impulse can only carry one piece of information at a time, with the chemicals and the electromagnetic frequencies that it's running through at that time. It can't harness several different strategies or several different tasks all at the same time. It needs to stop one and start another one, and then stop that and start this one. So if you're multitasking, you're effectively stopping and starting on every single one of those tasks that you're doing, and therefore not being efficient. And the science has shown that we're actually increasing our energy expenditure doing this. So if you're sitting there feeling tired, overwhelmed, just feeling stressed, could be because you're multitasking instead of focusing on one single project at a time. And so when I think about this, I think about a computer, my laptop. Let's take my laptop for an example. At this point in time, it would have about 10 different web pages opened all at the same time. It would have there's 4 Word documents on there, 1 Excel spreadsheet. It has instant messaging platforms that I use to message others, including my team. And so it's got all of this going on at the same time, but it can't do all of it at the same time. And I get a really bit annoyed. I was about to say I struggle with it, but I get a bit annoyed when it won't be as fast as when I got it out of the box. But I've got to realize it can't do all of those 10 web pages all at once. It can't load my Word documents and format each of those Word documents all at the same time. It can only do one thing at a time. And the more we ask it to do, or the more I ask it to do, the harder it is and the slower the laptop goes. So it's about being aware of that. Our mind is very similar to that. So the whole purpose of what I was wanting to express today is that we need to remember about single tasking, focusing on one task. Because when we strive to do multitasks, it's actually unattainable, and the brain gets tired and overwhelmed. So when we focus on one task, we have less stress. We've got less energy that we're expending at that time, less exhaustion. I know that's worthwhile. But single tasking and focusing on one task at a time increases your state of flow. An increasing state of flow increases your productivity, your ability to complete the task, and your creativity. and helps formulate new nerves or new brain cells, new neurons in the brain with each of those tasks that we're doing. So why not single focus on something today? Build new nerve networks in your brain by focusing on one task at a time, doing it diligently, completing it, feeling the accomplishment of completing it, patting yourself on the back, and then moving on to the next task. And in doing that, you'll find that your day will flow a lot easier, that you'll find that you're less stressed, less overwhelmed, and less exhausted. And if we can all do this together, what a better place the world would be. I look forward to hearing how you go with this. I'm Teresa Todd, transformational naturopath, biochemist, and microbiologist. See you next time.